Western Front, wishlist or pass? Now the game is not out yet, but I was able to play the demo, so I want to talk about my experience and what I think about the game from the demo. So the game is developed by Petroglyph Games and published by Frontier Foundry, and the pre-purchase price is €34.99. This is a game set in World War I, and it's a real-time combat strategy game, war game, but it also has some grand strategy element. It can be played in single player or multiplayer. For the single player, there's a campaign, and then there are also like historical battles that you can go through. Now, the heart of every war game is combat, so let's talk about that. So the combat in this game is real-time. So it's like a real-time strategy, but it has this huge pre-combat phase. Essentially, you are going to be building out your trenches, setting out your artillery and your like different kind of guns that you can shoot with, and picking out what kind of infantry or tanks unit you want to have. And you can also set up planes to do different air attack missions, but really the trenches are the most exciting part of the game. I absolutely love building them up and then setting out your units to fight. There are two types of combat. There's defensive and offensive. If you're defensive, then you have to wait till the enemy gives up or decides to end the combat, and if you're attacking, then once you take over the enemy, you can propose ceasefire, which will either mean that you win or lose depending on how much losses each of you took. Now, my favorite part of this game is this high-level map where you do strategic gameplay. So this is done in turn-based, and here you can pick like where your units want to go or which hexes you want to attack. You can research new technologies. There are also some additional features here like espionage, which we'll talk about later, and supply. Now next up, let's talk about additional and unique features. So first, let's talk about supply. Supply is a big deal in most war games, but in this war game, it behaves quite differently. So in the real-time combat, the supply works as you would expect. It essentially determines how many units you can set up into the combat, and the different actions like shooting will cost you some supply, ammo, or putting out new reinforcements in will also cost you supply. How much supply you get depends on how many units you had on that higher level grand strategy map on the hex. So this is interesting because it really behaves a little bit differently, where it's not like you have one supply hub from which you're sending your supply, or you have supply vehicles. It's instead like how many units you have on that hex that will determine how much supply you have in that given combat. Another really fun feature of this game is espionage. So the game doesn't have the standard fog of war. Instead, everything is fog of war until you use espionage, and the espionage can be countered. So essentially the enemy can do some counter espionage actions, which means that you will not be able to see or know what the enemy is actually doing, which can be a really big deal because you might encounter combat when you don't really know the strength of your enemy, which I think is a really fun way, and it works the other way towards the AI as well. Alright, next let's talk about the looks. Now when I say looks, I don't just mean the graphics, but I mean overall, like how does the game present information to you? What are the effects? Is the game beautiful or not? Now, I come from the world of turn-based war games, and we're gonna be honest here, they're ugly. But lately in 2023, a lot of new games war games that have come out actually quite beautiful, and this is one of those. I don't know if it's because it's real time or if it's new. Either way, this game is quite pretty. I really enjoyed the way the units look, the different effects. It's just really fun and really, really great to look at and great to play in. Now let's jump to my reservations. So overall, I really enjoyed the demo. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about in this game from the demo, and I want to see how that will turn out in the full game, is repetitiveness and the length of the combat. So even in the demo itself, they show you that in order to win a hex, you should attack it multiple times from different adjacent hexes. So you might want to attack one hex, let's say 3 times, because it causes high battle fatigue, so it's easier to win. And let's say you want to take over 2 hexes per turn, which I don't think is crazy. Well, that'd be 6 combat. Now, the game obviously lets you skip combats, but let's say even if you skip a lot of combats, you'll probably want to fight at least one real combat yourself per turn if those odds aren't particularly great and you think you can beat the AI. Well, let's say you're at turn 5, well then you fought 10 battles, 5 on each one of your turns and 5 on each of the enemy turns. That's a lot of combat considering you're just on turn 5 in the big map. And you might say, well, but there's going to be a difference in terrain. Well, yes and no. Obviously, if you're doing different regions, there'll be different terrains, but a big feature of this game is that you can see the sort of destruction of the World War I. So essentially, if you're going back to the same region, there will be the same like leftover trenches and different things that didn't get destroyed, which I think is really cool and really nice way so you don't have to use up the supply to make it every time. But it also means that it won't be that different, especially if you're attacking the same region 3 times. Well, if you take some of the consecutive fights, the terrain and the looks will be essentially the same. So this is my sort of a little bit worry about the game. And related to this is that there isn't that much difference between being defensive and offensive in the attack. I wish there were more maybe things like surprise attacks where the defender can't build anything, or some sort of time-limited attacks where the idea is that if you're attacking this long, then after that the reinforcements will come from the defender, so you have to give up. So just something to differentiate the combat enough. So that's my only reservation, but otherwise I'm really excited for this game. Now, speaking of reservations, I've been going through some of the discussions, and some people have mentioned things like that they're saying that the artillery is a little too strong, and other people are saying, hey, artillery was really strong in World War I, so of course it is. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a World War I buff, so I'll let the experts battle it out in the comment, but I love artillery, so I'm all for it being strong. Now, time for the final result. Would I wishlist or would I pass? The answer for me is wishlist. I think the game is fantastic. It's probably, at the moment, it's my favorite real-time war game. But again, I only played the demo, so we'll see what it's going to be like when the game is fully out. And I'm just really excited to play it. I love the grand strategy turn-based part of it, and the combat's really, really fun and exciting. And we'll see what happens with replayability, but hopefully it will remain super fun. Alright, if you are interested in this game, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because there will be a Let's Play coming out soon. And once the game is fully out, I will buy it and I will be making more videos of it. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.